Okay, so this is my final self-directed game project here, and it's now playing. Okay, so this is the main menu I made. It's the game. The name of the game is called Post Venture, and I have three options here in the main menu. Of course, quit is just quit. If I click, I'm gonna quit the game. Okay, let's go and replay. I gotta into a standalone game and run it because I made the option menu. I made a resolution option, so it has to in a standalone thing to in order to show the how it works. So in the option menu here, I have two options. One is 1280 by 720. If I click, the size of the window will change, and this one is larger one here. The two options. And if I click back here, I'm gonna go back to the main menu. So now we're gonna start the game. After I click start, it's gonna take a little bit of while to load the the into the actual game. In the backstage, it's actually opening the level here. So there, I have my game. I replaced. I used the third person template map to start, and I replaced the template modeling character there with this female fantasy looking character. I think it's actually from some kind of like other game, and it's on this store. I debugged one of the um, blueprint came with it. It's the attack animation blueprint. So this character actually has like one attack blueprint is if I click left click of a mouse, it's going to do this attack thing. But originally, after I do my first left click and attacks, and the next time I click it again, it's just not going to attack. But now it's like every time it has like it every time I click, it's going to re-attack, replay this animation again. And also, I set a delay to the animation playing, so this is now I'm clicking super fast, and this is already like the maximum frequency that the player is gonna be attacking. Um, of course, that's the way I make it not looking like very crazy attacking. So there's my gaming map, but first let's go back there. These are like bush walls, has a collision with it, but players always want to do something crazy and stupid, so they might end up with this trying to run into and escape the map. Of course, they're gonna fail. I put a collision box over here. But they can after this. I have a dialogue system here. So, and if I leave that trigger box, this is just going to disappear. And enter, the text render is going to show up. You also notice at the bottom of at the bottom of the screen, I have the H bar there. So, and it starts with a very low value. You can see the red progress bar is like just a little bit. That's actually relate to the context of the game. So the player is going to be discovering the map and trying to heal herself in order to go into the final boss fight. Of course, they can try to challenge without killing themselves and just directly go into the final boss fight. That's all right, but it's not the designed route of play the game. And of course, first time gamer may not try to do this, and if someone would play like us twice or three times, they might try to do that part. Also, I've also made a sprint system for my character. So if I hold right click of a mouse, it's gonna sprint. Release, it's gonna go into normal speed. So hold, release. You can clearly see the difference of the running speed between the when I'm holding and releasing. So in the designed flow, the character is gonna find okay, so this is where this main street lead me into is this graveyard. You might discover there's like a special gravestone that they can read and talk to. Um, The one of the core mechanics or the play method feature in this design game is um, just like reading these contexts and discover the background story of like what's happening around, what's going on with this character, who this character is, these things like that. And there it mentioned a key something in the dialogue happened just now. So there's a key lying on the ground here. I have to pick up. Now I have the key. Okay, so there's a sword here, odd, glowing in the stone. I have to survey. It looks familiar, but it's not relating to the key we just picked, but it's okay. And there's something the character's talking and like providing some kind of information, and we can choose interact. When we choose interact, you can see my HP bar grows a little bit, and the sword is just not glowing anymore. It looks like it loses power, and I cannot talk to it anymore. That's it. So if I come here, try to explore more, I'll find there's something I can also look at. Where's the snake looking at? That direction. There. What does it have? We'll come back to that part later. So, and here we'll find another thing. I hide this thing somehow behind these bushes, trying to hide it a little bit, but not really. Mention something about Fantasy Age. We can choose to activate. Of course, this is a healing crystal, and it's gonna heal our character a little bit more. And now you can see it's activated. It's like having this glowing lighting animation with it. One last thing I'll make here is if the player find it, okay, this part looked a little odd. It looks like a hiding space behind, and these two torches kind of like indicating, okay, there's something happening behind there. So, this wall is actually a destructible mesh. The player can run into it and it collapses. Design at in my design flow, the player will actually attack the wall, left click attack, and the wall's gonna break. But I have not made the combat system. I don't have the time to learn it now, so now the player just have to like run into it and crash into it with human body. I'm sorry. Okay, so behind all these bushes, player find a magic circle here. Player have some kind of knowledge about all these magical things, like why we mentioned about she might be like some kind of adventure before or something. The precondition for here just means the physical key, which is the key that we found in a graveyard. So here, press E and activate. I've been healed a little bit more again, so now my HP bar is clearly like it grew like a lot compared to um the start game. Okay, so now let's discover what's in this part. Also, if we mention here, this is also where the snake is looking at. Seems like indicating something is big down there. So we find a book stack we can read. This is clearly telling more about the background stuff of what happened and was recorded in the history books. This is like a history book thing. Basically, it's saying there's like a legendary adventure team or group in the um, fantasy age, which is going to be destroyed by all the gods, and now it's the age of humans, and magical power is now disappeared, and technology is now running the whole world and stuff like that. It's the new age. It's the new season. Seems like that's it. That's the end of this map. But like, if you can tell, you can tell there's like one more little space in between there, and you can also see some kind of lighting going through. Like you can hear some kind of lighting is behind, but you don't see any lightings there. And there's like looks like there's a space being eaten in there, but it's all bush walls. Like what's happening? Well, what is going on? If the player actually tried to run through this one single piece of bush wall is actually fake. This one is the only bush wall that does not have a collision, hiding behind all these bushes. There is a basement map down there. Okay. So now we are doubting, okay, this does not look like a normal graveyard at all. Or is this even still a graveyard? This is technically the first room that a player should run into. It's the closest room, and we have like the most important thing here is this additional key in this closet. But well, if the player chooses not to run into this room and discover somewhere else, their choice. But they have to end up into running into this room. There, take the key because only with this key they'll be able to activate the pillar. It says you can feel some kind of powers connecting this pillar into some kind of other things. But what is it? We have no idea right now, but we should activate it. Since precondition means the key over there. Um, Now it's activated. This pillar, in total, there's four pillars in around this map. Every time you light up a pillar, the power of the final boss will be like weakened a little bit, and if all fours lighten up, the player will be able to fight a very kind of like an easy boss there. But not it's gonna be a very hard fight, or even just it's gonna kill the player. Um, I've not made the combat system yet, so for now I just set a float in the um, blueprint indicates that's the boss power, and every time I activate the pillars, uh, the float is going to be like reduced a little bit. That's just for now, like a temporary thing, not permanent. And after I light up the first pillar in this room, there's going to be those monsters or enemies or living whatever creatures like walking around the hallways. They're not going to enter these rooms, but they're walking around the hallways, and if the player ran into them or uh, somehow being detected by those enemies, the player will have to kill them. But I've not done the combat system yet, and I don't know how to do animations for four-legged creatures, so they are just modeled here. But yeah, there's going to be a fighting now here, and there's a chance that the HP will go into zero when before like the player is able to meet the boss. But yeah, that's just a part of it. That's also a part of like the second important mechanic of the game is the fighting in the basement map. Oh, this one here. So we can find there's another pillar right here. I put the same dialogue for the pillar here again, just for every single pillar actually, because in case the actually playing player ran into the other ones instead of the first one that I showed, so they can have an idea of what is this going on here. Okay, I'll look in, and in here you can see this room is like a room that looks like someone had lived here before. There's like lots of things, money creatures and whatever other stuff like here. So Isa, another name mentioned in here in this manuscript, is, if you remember, that's the name on the gravestone earlier above ground there. She should be dead, and these manuscripts are actually written after her death date, which is absolutely something wrong. But there. is the question. That's more clue. Why she lived? Why she like staying in a death mode, and why she lived underground down here in the basement underneath her graveyard? Well, the graveyard that should be burying her, and leaving all these manuscripts. And where is she right now? We don't know. We have no idea. It's just still gonna discover. That's the room for the final boss, but we're not going into there for now. But something more. And there's also, like, you can see, like, enemies here, so there's all gonna be like enemies around. There's another pillar here. So E to activate and F to conversation. I'm not just showing that part. That's the same thing I showed before. There's You can see my HP are still very wacky there. It's not full yet. There is one more pathway if you want to know. And ooh, what's going on here? A portrait of some kind of like laying down woman. What does that mean? This is the portrait of Isa, the one who should be buried above, and the one who left the manuscript. She is now in the portrait. We have no idea. Maybe it's the context in game is not gonna tell every single little detail. There's a room of guessing, and the player somehow made the little teeny tiny little detail in their head that's not gonna be like there. It's a lot of the telling is unreliable in game. It's it's a design feature. They're similar with like Genshin Impact, how they tell stories. It's like some part of it's like unreliable, some part of it's like truth. It's like a mixing things. Yep. Okay, there's something left there. A drink. Cool. My HP is now full. So it's time to fight the boss. But remember, I said there's 4 pillars in total in this game. There's the room of the final boss. And once the player enters the game, of course, in here, the final boss is gonna activate. This actually a dragon, but the lighting here is a little wonky. Yep, but that's the dragon. Of course, I don't have the fighting system here, but yeah, this is where the final fighting is gonna occur. And while the player's fighting, they can, if they notice, oh, there's another final pillar in here, hiding there. Of course, this is a trick to the player. I made it on purpose. How nice I am. Yep, they should. The player will be like fighting, and in the meanwhile trying to reach here and press E, light up this pillar. So now the boss is gonna be like into the weakest version of possible, and the player will get into an easy fight. Also, um, just show since all the features that's gonna reduce the HP is in the fighting, and I don't have the combat system. So just to for like showing in this demo or in this recording video, if the player HP like hits 0, so I set a hotkey for now is the left shift. Every time I press left shift, it's gonna reduce my HP, but in the real like complete gameplay, there's not going to be like a key on the keyboard that's going to reduce their HP. Just temper everything. Once the player HP hits 0, let's start a camera fade. And it will quit the game back to the main menu, which means, of course, we're dead. Game over. Restart, please. So, yeah, that is pretty much my final self-directed game here. Thank you.